Hello friends and potential friends. I'm trying to speak up a little bit because I still haven't found my microphone. It's been a while since I've done a walk through the garden with y'all, so I figured I'd try to get out here early enough to get that done before the heat starts causing all the plants to start wilting. I'm going to have to hurry a little bit because, well, last night's low was 82 degrees, so it's not going to take long for things to heat up around here. So let's get started and see what we can cover. Okay, I'm going to start off here in the lab because this will go pretty quick. I've been keeping the lab pretty empty lately, or trying to anyway, because I'm starting to plan for my winter garden and I'll be putting a bunch of seeds in here before too long. But let's take a look at what we do have going in here. Back in the corner, of course, we have our 8-year-old basil still hanging in there. I haven't taken any cuttings from it recently, but I really need to do that if I'm going to keep that one going. And then down below that, we've got one little Mexican avocado that decided it wanted to grow. Growing pretty slow, but it's still trying to grow, so I'm going to still keep babying it along. My neighbor up the street brought me a few more broadleaf basil or large leaf basil, pretty much the common type, the Italian basil, so I've got a few of them coming in here. And then we have the pineapple that I planted a while back, and as you can see, we got a lot of roots in that thing. Hopefully that comes through good on the camera. That'll be going in a pot pretty soon and adding to the plantation. Over next to them, I've got some datil peppers that I started up. I wanted to get 6 of them to put into my green stock, so I planted a few, or started germinating a few seeds, and I wound up with 12 of them. So there's 6 in the green stock, and I've got 6 more here in the lab still. And let's see, back in the back corner, those are kind of struggling a little bit. Those are Jimmy Nardello peppers that my neighbor brought down to me. He tends to bring me a lot of seedlings. I give him a lot of seedlings, and we're just trying to fill up each other's yards. And then next to that is another guy that he brought down to me. About a week or so ago, he brought me about a 3-foot section of one of his moringa trees. Told me to cut it up in pieces and plant them. So I put 4 of them out in the yard, and I brought the top of it I put in this pot, and as you can see, I'm getting some growth in there. If I can get the camera or the gimbal to operate, it's starting to put out some leaves down there near the base of it. So at least that one's going to turn out okay. We'll take a look at the others when I get outside. And to be honest, that's it in the lab. Mostly empty space because, like I said, I'm going to be planting seeds before too long. Now on the outside, we'll run around the containers real quick. Still got my neglected broadleaf cactus that I haven't done anything with. And over here we've got the Florida avocado that really needs to get out of that pot and go in the ground somewhere. Next to that we've got 5 or 6 Ponderosa Lemons that I need to do something with pretty soon. And next to the Ponderosas, I've got a little bit of sage and a little bit of mint. And there's a papaya in the background there. My no-heat habanero that I'm planning on getting seeds from has got a few peppers on it. There's a couple in there. I see another one over here, and a few more up here at the top. Right at the moment I don't see any blossoms on it, but it's been producing pretty steady since I planted it. And we got my horseradish. It kind of died back a little bit, but it's still growing there. And the mulberry that I still haven't done anything with. That needs to go out in the yard pretty soon too. And then next to that is my elderberry, and I need to either put that in a bigger pot or find some place in the yard to plant it. Down below those guys, we've got one of my loquats still growing, and there's a rosemary down there. These lemon trees are the ones from last year that I grew from grocery store lemons. And then I've got 2, see if you can see those, 2 pomegranates. They're looking a little bit worse for wear since I brought them outside, but they're still growing, so hopefully they'll continue to. And then next to them is another part of the 8-year-old basil. And I've got some mint up here that I'm trying to keep away from everything else so it doesn't take over. Over on the east side is the jungle of ginger. Ginger's all growing pretty good. Doesn't get as big as most people's because over here it's in the shade most of the time. Oh, and there's that Papayas too. It seems to be pretty happy this time of year. Down past the ginger, we've got a couple more papayas that my buddy brought down to me. Another sprig of rosemary, which I'll probably be giving to him. He has trouble keeping his rosemary alive. That's about the only thing he has trouble with, it seems like. And we've got a little bit of turmeric growing over here. And if you like turmeric, I've got a bunch of it growing in the bed over here. Again, this is a pretty shady area of the yard, so don't necessarily get as large as a lot of them you'll see. Oh, while we're in the bed, these are the Jimmy Nardellos, and I do still have a few peppers on them. I picked 4 or 5 of them the other day, so got a few in the kitchen that I need to do something with. And I think you may be able to see over there the little yellow guys. Those are the couple of datel peppers that are just about right. Oh look, that one's starting to turn. Either that or I'm starting to get some blossom end rot. Haven't had that yet this year yet. Got one of my fig trees with a little lizard hanging at the top waiting for bugs to come along. And then let me get back out here and we'll take a look at the pineapple plantation. Things are still looking pretty good in the plantation, and something I'm kind of happy with. That guy's starting to turn. Won't be long before I'm harvesting that guy. I'm looking forward to it. That'll be the 5th or 6th pineapple that I've gotten out of these guys in the last 5 or 6 years. And we have my blueberry is still in the pot. Still growing pretty well, and that looks like a ripe blueberry to me. I think I'll have to test that and see how it is. Yep, that one's pretty good. I still have some basil hanging in over here. This one is the licorice basil. I need to harvest some more seeds off of that. Next to that is the lime basil, and there's a couple of seed pods on there I need to get. And then the sweet Thai basil. There's a bunch of seeds on there I need to pick. Let's see if we can see those datels a little bit better. Well, still some blossoms on the datels. I can't really get in there too well to see them. It's getting a little bit thick in there. Oh, and the sweat's starting to drip into my eyes too. And I see some of the peppers are starting to droop. So let's get over there pretty quick. This is where I dug up my potatoes a while back, and I couldn't stand to see an empty bed, and a friend of mine had given me a pack of okra seeds, so I decided to plant some okra. And as you can see, it's coming up. I know it's probably the wrong time of year to be planting it, but the bed was empty and I had the seeds, and it's not going to start cooling off here for another 6 months, so we'll see what we can get out of there. I tried putting some radishes in this bed. A few of them came up, but they're struggling in the heat. Now over to the main beds, which are starting to get into the sunlight now. Got my hedge of rosemary along this end. It's still growing good. I need to do some clipping. A couple more no-heat habaneros that have no peppers on them right now that I can see. But I do have a couple of red marconis that are ripening up. One there and one back there. Then we have all of the bell peppers. I think I picked about 6 or 8 bell peppers off of these earlier, but since I did that picking, I haven't seen any more blossoms. And again, you can see these guys are starting to get into the sunlight, and they're already starting to droop a little bit. Oh yeah, we have the spicy globe basil. I keep forgetting to point that one out specifically. And I got one spicy globe basil down here. And then back here we have some more holy basil. And I believe that one over on the far side is either the Genovese or the Mammoth Basil, but it doesn't have very mammoth leaves on it. Let's see, spin around here, and we have, those are the no-heat habaneros. No, those are jalapenos. And we got one little pepper on there. These two tomatoes are really struggling. Never did get anything off of them. It's really too hot here for them now. I planted a few more jalapenos down here, but they're kind of struggling a little bit. And of course, we always have volunteer sweet potatoes popping up all over the place. There's one there. There's another one down there under the basil. I just didn't bother to move those ones. This guy here is the Mammoth Basil, so that other one over there must be the Genovese. And then next to that we've got Tabascos loaded with peppers. I'm leaving these on because I gave a couple of these to my buddy a while back, and he tried to germinate the seeds and couldn't get anything to germinate. So I'm leaving these peppers on here to make sure they get good and ripe. And the other ones have got, one on the far side's got a bunch of peppers on it too. And then we have the hots. First row is my Caribbean Red Habaneros, and there's a few of them starting to ripen up on there. There's one over on the far side also, and they are starting to droop a little bit already. This is the Caribbean Orange Habaneros. I see a couple of ripe ones over on the far side there as well. And then finally, these are the Lemon Habaneros, and I don't know what to think of these. This guy here has been hanging there for a month now. I'm waiting to see if it's going to turn a different color, and so far it hasn't. There's another one on the far side. It looks almost like a banana pepper, but it's also the same color. And then down at the very end, these are some new guys I put in here. Pusa Jawala. It's an Indian hot pepper, somewhat like brain's going blank. It's a long, thin red pepper, like, I can't remember. Now, on to the sweet potato bed before it all starts going flat. This is how the sweet potatoes look before the sun hits them in the morning. Nice and happy, bushy, spreading out nice. I had to do a lot of rearranging when I mowed the other day because they're trying to move out into the yard. And I'm hoping I get some sweet potatoes out of those this year. In fact, they're taking over from the collards that are still hanging in there. Now we'll go out in the back corner. This is the northwest corner of my yard. And this is my Moringa bed. And as you can see, the Moringa's looking pretty good for a change. I think the last full walk around, it didn't have hardly any leaves on it, but it decided it wanted to start growing again. So I'm hoping that I get some harvest off of that this year. And down at the base, I mentioned that my friend brought me some sticks of Moringa, and I put 2 of them in this bed. And as you can see, so far I'm not seeing any growth on them. There's that one there, and there's one more over in this corner. And in amongst them, I also once again planted a few, I think these are zucchinis that I planted in here just to see if I could get them to grow. They're hardly even growing. They've been in here over a month, and they're only a couple inches tall. Sugar cane, we still have sugar cane, but I'm going to have to replant this pot before long. This has been in here for about 3 or 4 years, and it's starting to look a little bit skimpy. So I may have to do some digging and repotting in there. We still have my yard art still empty. If anybody's got a swarm of bees they want to get rid of, send them my way. And there's my fig tree back here in the shade, still hanging in there. Got good growth on it. I haven't even looked to see if there were any figs, but that thing is too small to be producing fruit yet. If it does, I'll have to pull them off of there. Now, over in the northeast corner, I've got my one grocery store lemon, still growing up pretty good. It's about 2 feet tall now. And over next to it is the one loquat that I planted in my yard. That's approaching 3 feet tall now. Big old beautyberry bush right there in the back corner. It'll be those seeds will be turning purple before long. And then we have my Ponderosa lemon, which this year has very few lemons on it. Partially because when I mow back here, I tend to knock them off. But there are a couple of little ones still going. There's one up there you can see. And I just saw one more. Right there at the top. And looking around, I don't see any others that are jumping out at me, but there may be one or two more on the tree. This guy is in the shade most of the day, so it really struggles back here, and that's the main reason that I started trying to grow some more so I can plant some out where they get better sunlight. See if I can get some better production from them. Oh, and I walked right past my gardenia bush. I put it out here about a month or so ago, and it's been putting on these flowers ever since. They smell beautiful. And look at all those blooms coming out. Seems to be happy in here. And right around the corner we have another little box for Moringa. This is another plant that my friend brought me down. He told me just to plant it right here in the yard in the worst possible soil I have, and it'll be happy. And so far it seems to be happy. And so I planted a couple more of the sticks he brought me down at the base of it, and so far I'm not seeing any growth on either one of them. Oh, and incidentally, we did have a bloom of bromeliads a couple weeks ago, which is about a month and a half early for them. But they've died back and they seem to be settling down again now. Now over here on the east side of the house, I don't show this area very much, but this is where I've been putting my papayas. They're growing slow. What you see right there is almost the only sunlight that they get during the day, but they are still growing. There's actually 5 of them in there amongst all those blasted Chinese Chinaberry trees. Or no, those are the what are those ones? Those are the ones Buddy's got in his front yard. Another invasive species. But that's my papayas. And now up in the front we'll take a look at the green stalk. I still haven't added the 5th level to it. I'm thinking I might try to start some strawberry seeds and put them in one level. But as you can see, the mint at the base of it is trying to take over everywhere. There are still a few marigolds planted in amongst that, but they're probably not going to make it because that mint wants to be the boss. Above the mint we've got more sage, and I've got sage and mint hanging all over in the kitchen drying. There's some nasturtiums, haven't gotten any flowers out of them yet. And then I mentioned I put 6 datel peppers in here. These are the only peppers I've got in the front yard, so hopefully I can get some good viable seeds out of these that haven't been cross-pollinated. I was on a live stream the other day, I think it was Pharmacy Seeds Network. We got talking about morning glories. Everybody seems to think that morning glories are a noxious weed. Well, these are my morning glories. They tend to stay right here on this particular post and spread a little bit out over the top of these hedges I've got here. And they never go anywhere else. In fact, we got a little blossom. That one's white. I've seen pink. Haven't seen any blue ones. Someone mentioned blue ones. And the funny thing is, the mint seems to be trying to reach out to the morning glories to see about taking over that post. Luckily I keep turning that every day, so that keeps the mint a little bit at bay. So I would say that's pretty much everything that I've got going right now. Just walk around the back of it. And in the time that I've been recording this, the sun started hitting some of the pepper plants. And as you can see, they are starting to droop. Before I came out here, I looked at my weather station. It said it was 88 degrees, and that was at 10 o'clock. So, it's going to be another hot one. They keep promising us rain and then not delivering. But did I specifically mention any of the other basil? I think I did. Got some licorice, and can't read that one anymore. Oh, that's the purple globe. And then over on this side, I've got a couple of bushes of the lemon basil next to the tomatoes. So things are still growing. I've probably mentioned a few times before, I need to give this rosemary a haircut. When I do that, I'll have a few more yogurt cups in the lab with cuttings in them to Tabascos are starting to droop a little bit too, and to be quite honest with you, I've been dripping for as long as I've been out here, and I'm starting to droop a little bit myself. So I think I'm going to bring this to an end. One last look at the sweet potatoes maybe, and I shall see you on the next one.